We finally get an update on Ilya Sorokin from Islanders prospects camp, and Matt Martin is back, sort of. We've got all that and a whole lot more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to the Monday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, so you get new episodes as soon as they drop. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We've got a busy show ahead today, but first, if there's something Islanders related on your mind, if you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, send us an email to lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we discuss whatever's on your mind. You can also follow the show on X at Locked On Isles, and you can follow me, Gil Martin, on X at Ice Wars NYR VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all things Islanders all season long. And it's always great to talk a little Islanders hockey with you, game time or anytime. Well, it was a busy weekend for the New York Islanders. They were, players at prospect camp. If you everydayers go back to Friday's show, we talked about the roster and the players that are participating in prospect camp, and we'll have a little more about some of the problems the Islanders have with the prospect camp a little bit later on in the show. But Lou Lamoriello holding his press conference as he typically does. And look, we know Lou Lamoriello. We know his updates. We know he tries to say as little as possible, even when he's talking to the media, and he doesn't talk to the media all that often. Keep in mind, talking to the media is the media being sort of the ears and eyes of the fans. So he's really not communicating with the fans. Now, what we did get from Lou Lamoriello is the Lou Lamoriello version of an update on Ilya Sorokin's status. And look, last week, Elliotte Friedman, the NHL insider, basically said that Ilya Sorokin, quote, may be battling something. And, that was more or less all we were told. Well, Lou Lamoriello addressed it over the weekend, basically said that Ilya Sorokin had a little injury during summer training. It was eventually divulged to be an upper body injury. He said, he is skating. We are not worried it will extend into the season, but that he will most likely miss the first couple of days of training camp, and he'd leave the decision of what happens next up to the training staff to determine when and how soon Ilya Sorokin will return to the ice. So, first of all, let's just start with this. Let's just exhale, Islanders Nation. And, I don't like to discuss rumors. Elliotte Friedman, to me, is a reliable source, so I was willing to at least report on what Friedman mentioned about Sorokin, and it did turn out to have truth to it. And look, now the issue becomes what kind of an injury is this? Because we still don't know, other than upper body, and NHL teams are not obligated to say anything more than that. B, how long will it take Sorokin to get back on the ice and practice with his teammates? That's always a concern. And then C, even if Sorokin is quote unquote ready to start the season on time, and Lou Lamoriello does indeed seem optimistic that Sorokin will be ready for October 10th opening night. Does his absence from the beginning of training camp slow him down enough that, he may not start opening night, or may have to split time with Semyon Varlamov for the first couple of weeks of the season? Is there any impact on his availability in the preseason and then in the early part of the regular season? Now, we mentioned on Friday's show, veteran goalie Keith Kincaid, Long Island native, former New Jersey Devil, so a guy with a long-term relationship with Lou Lamoriello, signed a PTO last week and is with the Islanders in training camp. Clearly, that means that at least until Ilya Sorokin can practice again and participate in drills at training camp, having Keith Kincaid there certainly fills a need and gives the Islanders a veteran NHL experienced goalie who can go out there and participate in practice. And between Kincaid and Marcus Hogberg and, Jakub Skarek, if he's out there, and Tristan Lennox, and, all the prospects that are indeed taking part in prospect camp, well, the fact that they are all there certainly does give the Islanders enough bodies at rookie camp to do any drills they need. So you got, right now at prospect camp, Henrik Tikkanen, Tristan Lennox, Keith Kincaid. Once training camp starts, assuming Kincaid sticks around for training camp, you add Semyon Varlamov, you add Jakub Skarek, you add, hopefully, eventually, Ilya Sorokin, and you're talking about, a group that the full roster can practice with. Guys can certainly appear in different preseason games and scrimmages and practices, and there'll be enough players for the New York Islanders to do everything that they're looking to do. And I think that is the bottom line and the most important thing that the Islanders can do. So Lou Lamoriello speaking to the media on Friday and addressing, a few matters, one of which we will even further discuss in the next segment of this show. But at the end of the day, here's the good news. Islanders hockey is back. The prospects are on the ice. Later this week, the full roster of players will be on the ice, and we are kind of getting ready for the start of the new season. And, we've heard a few of the prospects talking to the media, and we'll get into that later this week, what they had to say. But the good news is that hockey is back. Islanders hockey is back. And I am excited for the start of the 2024-2025 NHL season and to see the Islanders back on the ice. It is less than a month away from the start of the regular season, about a week away from the start of the preseason, and it's just a good time to be a hockey fan. We have got a lot more to get to on today's show. A familiar face sticking on the island with a PTO. We will talk about that. We will talk about a problem we have with the way the Islanders do things with their prospects that has probably been costing the team. And, oh yes, for our Islanders' birthday of the day, an American-born forward who was a former first-round pick of the Montreal Canadiens, who played a little more than one season with the Islanders in the late 1990s. Let's see if you can guess who that is. We've got all that and more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at FanDuel. You've heard a lot about FanDuel from us at Locked On. It's America's #1 sports book, but, well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV-based plan, you're able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment. You can cancel any time. In the meantime, FanDuel has all you need to place exciting bets on all your sports, whether it's the baseball pennant races, college or pro football, hockey futures, whether it's preseason, regular season. Check it all out at FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to download America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. So, another familiar face returning to the New York Islanders. Announced over the weekend, Friday, when Lou Lamoriello held his press conference. And we got two pieces of news. Number one, Cal Clutterbuck not coming back. Cal Clutterbuck, let's just say not here on a PTO for the New York Islanders. And yet, Matt Martin is here on a PTO, and Matty Martz is going to give it his all to try to stick with the New York Islanders. Now, no contract yet. No cap room, realistically, for Matt Martin. So that is an issue. What are the odds that Matt Martin sticks with this team? Lou Lamoriello basically said, hey, he's got a real shot. And, can't blame him for saying that. If there's an issue, you certainly, want to know. And Lou Lamoriello's words were that Matt Martin is a legitimate candidate to make the team. He's trained. We've spoken. He wants to play. We're totally upfront and honest. We'll have to get through training camp and make the decision we can make out that time. What does that mean? Okay? It isn't going to be easy for Matt Martin to make the team. He would have to beat out guys like Kyle McLean, Hudson Fasching, Simon Holmstrom for a spot on the fourth line. Could Matt Martin come back and kind of play the Ross Johnston role, where if you're going up against a physical opponent, and everydayers, we've talked about the fact that this team may lack a little toughness and physicality up and down the lineup compared to what they've had in recent years. I mean, certainly Martin and Clutterbuck added that physicality, but at this stage in his career, is Matt Martin, able to fill that role? Is that enough for him? Or, could you sign a younger, faster player at roughly the same amount of money, if not at the same amount of money? It's a tough one. Martin is a great Islander. He has been. He's tough. He's gritty. He's a great teammate. But is he still good enough at the age of 35 to come in and do the job for the Islanders? And is that the best move? Now, last year, 57 games for Matt Martin. 4 goals, 8 points. He was a +7 on the plus minus, 43 penalty minutes. Can he still get the job done, and can he get it done better than some of the alternatives? That's the question, number one, that has to be answered. And then if the answer to that question is yes, how do you create the cap space to get Matty Martz on the roster? Does it mean trading Oliver Wahlstrom? Does it mean sending Simon Holmstrom down? Does it mean Matt Martin is your 13th or 14th forward. And, only comes in if someone is hurt or if there is an opening if you're playing an opponent that requires a little more grit and physicality. The other thing to kind of keep in the back of your mind, Matt Martin, after 15 years in the NHL, 13 of those with the New York Islanders, 45 games away from 1,000 career NHL games. Also 5 assists away from 100 career NHL assists. He has 95. Those are great milestones, but at the end of the day, Matty Martz is going to have to earn it. It's hard to root against Matt Martin. It's one of those things where emotionally, he is a guy who has given so much to the team. He will go down as a really solid member of the New York Islanders for 13 seasons. But if he has enough for one more, we have to see. It'll be interesting. And again, how does Lou create cap space? All of these things are adding up to the fact that before the season starts, Lou Lamoriello is likely to make another move of some kind. He's got to free up enough cap space to start the season with 23 players. I mean, let's even start with that, okay? Right now, you're over the cap. So who moves on? Oliver Wahlstrom would make sense. He certainly has more upside potential than Matt Martin, but does he play the role that the Islanders would need a reserve forward to fill? A lot of questions to answer. Lou Lamoriello may not even know the answer just yet, but I just have the feeling when push comes to shove that there is another trade coming down the pike or another move. It could be as simple as placing a player on waivers before the season starts, or releasing a player. So right now, there is no room for Keith Kincaid at the NHL level. There is no room for Matt Martin or Oliver Wahlstrom at the NHL level. Or just, to be more general, somebody's got to go. Somebody who you might expect to be on the roster based on past experience, salary, lineup projections. Someone who you expect to be one of the 14 forwards on this team come opening night. Not going to be salary cap room or room for unless a move is made. And I do think we will see some kind of a move. A trade makes the most sense. The Islanders need to get out of this cap crunch. And if Lou Lamoriello is telling us the truth, and Ilya Sorokin is going to be ready for the season, and I hope he is, it means that you're not going to be able to put Sorokin on LTIR and thereby open up a little cap space for each day that he's out of the lineup. Now, something could happen, knock on wood, we don't want it to happen, but something could happen in training camp or in the preseason that is considered a setback. Again, we don't want that to be the case. That's one way to free up cap space, depending on who gets hurt, but you don't want that, and you don't want to rely on that to be cap compliant. So all eyes on Lou Lamoriello. What move is he going to make to get this team cap compliant before October 10th? We're going to find out, and we're going to find out within the next 3 or 4 weeks. So we'll have it covered for you every step of the way right here on the Locked On Islanders podcast. We have more to get to on today's show. We really have to sit down and talk about the way the Islanders do things with their prospects. We will talk about that, plus our Islanders birthday of the day and a lot more. All that still to come on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen today. Now for your second listen, Go find Locked On NHL, where the local experts keep you updated daily on all the biggest storylines ahead of the season. Find Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Locked On NHL, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So this past weekend, the Islanders had prospect camp. And, we went over the roster last week, and some big names not on the roster for prospect camp. And, yeah, it kind of bothers me. I'm not going to lie. And, who are the guys who are not on this list? Cole Iserman, Danny Nelson, not there. Kamil Bednarik, not there. Those are three of the Islanders' top 5 prospects, according to the Daily Faceoff. And according to most experts, these are some of your very best prospects. Okay? The fact that you're not holding any prospect camp or rookie camp in July or August, when players who are attending college can be there, is a big negative for the New York Islanders and the way they develop players. And look, I'm not going to lie to you and say that because they took part in a rookie camp in July or August, it's going to make these players all of a sudden be the greatest prospects in the history of the world. Not going to say that. But it does give them exposure to NHL coaches, exposure to the other top prospects in your organization. And it allows them to sort of adjust step by step to life in the NHL and in the Islanders organization. It is a positive thing for prospects. And the Islanders, are the only team in the league that don't do that. Why would you not want your top prospects out there on the ice with your coaches to give them a chance to be exposed to them? So that's number one. Number two is this past weekend. This past weekend, NHL rookie tournaments took place. 30 of the 32 teams in the league participated in a rookie tournament this weekend. The 2 teams that did not were the Washington Capitals and the New York Islanders. And guess what? Neither of those 2 teams are known right now for having a deep and great prospect pool. There was the 2024 Prospects Challenge in Buffalo, featuring the Bruins, Sabres, Devils, Senators, and Penguins. There was the NHL Rookie Face-Off in LA with the Ducks, Avs, Kings, Sharks, Kraken, Utah Hockey Club, and Vegas Golden Knights. The Tom Curvers Prospect Challenge in St. Louis. The Blues and the Blackhawks. 3 games over the weekend. The Young Stars Classic with Canadian-based teams, Calgary, Winnipeg, Vancouver, and Edmonton. The Salmon Arm Silverbacks versus Pentagon Vs, where the Flames and the Oilers and the Canucks and the Jets all had a round-robin tournament. The Rookie Showcase in Nashville, featuring Southern NHL teams like the Predators, the Hurricanes, the Panthers, and the Lightning. The Rookie Series in Allentown with the New York Rangers and the Philadelphia Flyers. The Prospect Showdown in Montreal between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens. And then the Traverse City tournament between the Red Wings and the Stars. All of that taking place over the weekend. The Islanders prospects not participating in any tournament. Get your guys out there. Let them play in more game-like conditions. Move their development forward that way. Are the Islanders trying to save a couple of dollars by not sending their top prospects to one of these tournaments? Wouldn't it be great to have the Rangers, Islanders, Devils, and Flyers, for example, have a four-way tournament? The New York metropolitan area, tri-state area tournament? Doesn't that increase the rivalry? Don't you want to see your prospects in game conditions? Again, I'm not saying doing these things will make the Islanders prospect pool shine like they've never shined before. But it's an attitude. It's an approach. And you want to put your prospects in the best possible position to succeed. And not having your college players available for rookie camp. And being one of only 2 teams out of 32 that do not participate in rookie tournaments this past weekend. These are not the ways to help build your prospect pool and develop your prospects. You're missing opportunities to do it. And it just, to me, I would like to see the Islanders get more involved with the way they develop their prospects. Yeah, trading away draft picks doesn't help your prospect pool. But the guys who are in your pool, you want to maximize their development, speed it along, make it as good as it can be. And right now, the Islanders just aren't doing everything they can to do that. And I'd like to see that change. Time now for our Islanders birthday of the day. And we are a couple of days early, but Wednesday will be the 58th birthday of former Islanders winger Tom Chorske, a number 1 pick of the Canadiens back in 1985, spent a couple of years, 3 years actually, at the University of Minnesota, made his NHL debut with the Canadiens in 1989-90, joined the Devils in 1991-92, the Senators, and then joining the Islanders for the 97-98 season, played a couple of games for the Isles in 98-99, then played for the Capitals, Flames, and Penguins before hanging up his skates after the 2000-2001 season, which he spent in the IHL. For his career, Tom Chorske, 596 NHL games, 115 goals, 237 points, 225 penalty minutes, add 5 goals and 17 points in 50 playoff games, and that is Tom Chorske's NHL career. He did win a Stanley Cup during his NHL career, and his best game as an Islander, how about November 14th, 1997 at the Ice Palace in Tampa Bay. Islanders taking on the Lightning. Tommy Salo for the Islanders in net. Corey Schwab, the goalie for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And late in the first period, our Islanders' birthday of the day, Tom Chorske scores an unassisted shorthanded goal, his first with the Islanders, making it 1-0 Isles. Late in the second period, Islanders on the power play, and Tom Chorske, our Islanders' birthday of the day, makes it 2-0 Isles. Todd Bertuzzi and Doug Huda, that Doug Huda, with the assists. The Islanders get goals from Travis Green late in the second, Robert Reichel in the third. They end up with a 4-1 win over the Tampa Bay Lightning. For Tom Chorske, our Islanders' birthday of the day, 2 goals. He was a +1. He had the game winner, scored on both of his shots, and played 16 minutes and 44 seconds of ice time. 33 saves for Tommy Salo. Islanders outshot in this one 34-18. But they come away with the win and a 2-goal performance by Tom Chorske. He is our Islanders' birthday of the day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Everydayers, we are back tomorrow. Yeah, we're back on a Monday through Friday schedule here on Locked On Islanders as the offseason is over and the regular season is here. So make sure you join us for that. We'll have some more updates from Islanders rookie camp, prospect camp, and any other news, notes, and happenings and updates about your New York Islanders. Until then, have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. And of course, let's go Islanders.